Welcome back to Florida Poly's Fall 2020 Game Expo. Here I have AJ Sundaraj, Logan Chiswick, and Ben Stavik with me, and their game is Bonk or Get Bonked. So, can you tell me about your game a little bit?
Hey dude, you want to handle that one?
Yep. Our game is a first-person camera game with emphasis on melee combat and stamina management. We really tried to make the mechanics simple but very fun to play. That was primarily the focus of our game.
Mhm. So, what was each member's involvement in making the game?
My involvement was I was in charge of the player mechanics. I was in charge of coding the movement, the animations for the player, the health and stamina management aspect,
Mhm.
and I also worked on the music and sound effects, as well as I helped with the level design. I made some of the rooms and placed some decor in there, so on and so forth.
And I mostly worked on AI, the enemies, their animations. There's a boss at the end, and mostly the level design, as well as a lot of the kind of back end, going between the different levels and things like that and how they work.
And my primary focus was the UI as a whole, so everything involving that. And I also involved some of the potions, and then just general bug testing and some fixes, and a little bit of everything.
Okay. So, what is the genre of your game, and why did you choose this genre?
The genre is, kind of like a action adventure. Mostly the reason why we chose it is for fun. It sounds like the most fun to us. What would be, engaging, simple, fast. You don't have to sit there and wait for a long amount of time. So you just download the game, play it, and immediately you get into the action.
So, were there any games that inspired you to make your own game?
There's a game called Vermintide 2, which is kind of similar to Left 4 Dead. That's a much more popular game where just lots of enemies come at you and you hit them, and you're a lot stronger than them, but in a lot of numbers they get stronger than you, so you just have to play it right. And it's just a lot of fun to us, so that's where we went with.
Yeah, so we're actually watching the gameplay right now, and your models look great. Did you guys make the models, or were they stock models?
The only models that we made ourselves is the our weapon, the Warhammer. You see,
Uh huh.
everything else was downloaded from the asset store or a website that provides free 3D models to use.
And what about the textures? I'm assuming
Uh, those
they.
were those were part of an asset pack,
Uh,
so they were part. They were taken from the asset store.
okay. So, what were some difficulties you or your team faced while making this game?
Um, Me personally, the most difficult aspect for me in this game was animating the player character,
Hmm.
especially when it came to the camera. Things got very complicated very fast, and you could see that the best when it came to transitions. When you transition from attack to block and
Hmm.
block to walking, there was always a delay. So to get that all nice and fluid, so that the player can have the best experience, was quite the challenge.
And for me, the biggest difficulty was definitely animations as well for the enemies, making them stop walking again, attacking properly, because you don't want to have a enemy that's just walking in place. It doesn't look right, and I really wanted to focus on getting that to a little bit more to the perfect. Um, a lot of other difficulties was involved with level design. I chose a terrible way of designing the levels, and that's definitely something that set me back a long ways.
So,
And
is there? Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna, for the difficulties for me was definitely the finding each bug, and making the UI look fluid and look nice.
So, does your game have a backstory and narrative?
Yes, so essentially, you, the player, are a prisoner that's been held against your will. You have no recollection of who you are or why you are here. All you know is that you need to escape this horrible dungeon filled with monsters. So, will you escape or will you stay and rot in here forever? It's a simple story. We kind of So we made our gameplay mechanics clear first, and we developed the stories revolving around that. Right.
Great, great. So, how do you win this game?
So the way you so the way you win is you have to make it to level 3, and you have to beat the final boss that we have, who actually has much more health than all the rest of the enemies.
Okay. You know, this game kind of reminds me of the zombie games from Call of Duty, also because they're all attacking you. Yeah,
Very similar.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm sure you guys faced a lot of challenges, but what was the most challenging part of making a game?
Um, for me, probably the most hard part was making sure we had a steady flow and all the tasks were uh, accomplished.
Yeah, a lot of the challenging parts came from mostly getting everything together. We had a lot of pieces that kind of all needed to be fit together, and we cut a few ideas and had to change a little things because of requirements, and then we kind of crammed it all together, and it worked out pretty decently for the most part.
Yeah, getting everything fluid to give the player the best experience was definitely the most challenging to create a quality product. In short,
Okay. So, did you all learn anything new while making this game?
I personally learned a lot about Unity's animation systems and how complex they could end up being. And I also understood how to collaborate the importance of collaborating as a team and like laying out your ideas and seeing which ideas would work best for the game, which ones to cut out, time management. A lot of the software engineering processes were very important to me.
hmm For me, the what I learned was definitely the animations as well. That was something we all kind of tripped up on. Definitely, the moving between them, state machines. I've had a ton of classes teaching me how to use state machines, but when you actually put them into a practice, um, it you realize the difficulties that are in creating a solid one that doesn't just break.
For me, the uh, thing I learned was probably the just general UI in Unity. I learned a lot doing that for this class and this assignment. Um, uh, all throughout this game, getting the pause menu to work was probably the most challenging part to learn.
So, AJ talked about time management. What skills do you need to work? What skills do you think you need to work on to become a better game developer?
The most important skill is communicate with your team.
Mhm.
That's super duper important because you need to make sure everyone's on the same page, everyone has a good understanding on what needs to be done. If you don't communicate properly with your team, then everyone's going to be confused, and that will definitely waste a lot of time that we spent on the game.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but yeah, a lot of skills that I struggled with was a lot of code was just kind of spread out everywhere. This is some of my worst code I've ever written because I didn't know exactly what I was doing at most times, so I just kind of threw this and threw that into places, and then it kind of just worked. And I know that's a terrible practice, so I need to work on a lot of code management.
For me, I would say the collaboration with the team and working on. I just want to be more proficient in Unity as a whole and more get tasks done quicker.
So, are y'all planning on adding more functionality to this game later on?
Yeah, if given the opportunity, we would like to improve the melee combat, add chain attacks, possibly different types of weapons to suit different play styles, and just improve the player's movement, make it more complex, and more exciting to play.
So, if you could do anything different about this game, what would it be?
Me personally, I would like to make my main character different. I kind of placed the camera in a wrong spot, and I didn't realize that until I finished all the animations. So after that, it would have been very difficult to fix, and it would have taken a lot of time to do it. So definitely, how I constructed the main character, I would like to give more thought into it rather than just throwing it in there, which is what I did.
For me, it was definitely level design. It was what I did was a terrible, terrible idea. It would be better to just scrap everything and build the levels from the ground up. It was a terrible design. It doesn't look bad. It just was extremely time cost, and it was not efficient in the slightest. Nor is it scalable. That's something I would do different.
All right. So, are you planning on making games after you graduate?
Yes, definitely.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I would say so. Yeah, definitely.
All right. So, is there anything else you guys want to add on?
Not much other than if you want to play our game, it's a good short little fun 10 minutes that you can enjoy, and it gets a lot harder definitely if you go up to the hardest difficulty.
Yeah.
All
It's
right.
super simple to just pick up. We made sure anyone can just play our game. It's not complex in the slightest.
Well, then, thank you for coming in and talking about your game. So make sure to go on itch.io, play Bonk or get Bonked. By the way, before we go, what is the story behind the name?
AJ?
So the name is actually a reference to a meme that was popular a few months ago.
Mhm.
But the main real idea is to grab your attention, and it worked. When you saw the name, you immediately wanted to ask a question about it. So it's just like an eye grabber.
Mhm. All right. Well, then, if you're watching the stream, make sure to go on itch.io, play Bonk or get Bonked, and give it a rating, and we will be right back.